So today we're going to talk about India reality sector, and what we're going to cover is we're going to go through the reality sector as a whole, before and after what we discussed previously in this channel and have been discussing for quite some time. The sectors, subsectors you should be looking at like a pro, because you are fund manager of your own money, so you should start thinking like that. And stocks in my radar, what I'm tracking, why should we should play this theme, and how can we play this theme in terms of ancillary sectors as well. We'll go through technical analysis, because that's a backbone of the overall peaceful week in investing. And then I will share with you the bonus tip which can save you hours of research by few clicks. So let's get started. So first thing first, as you have noticed, that Federal Reserve, bank has raised their interest rate, and I think we kind of hitting the topish of it. And during the interest rate cycle, when interest rates are up, real estate has some linkage to it, because the loans gets expensive, and also the builders also have to depend on the capital from the bank and taking loans, so everything gets expensive, which becomes for them it's a kind of an anti tailwind, because you are borrowing borrowed capital, the cost of capital goes up. So now that, again, I'm not expert in the economics thing, but in terms of way it is looking at and way things are moving, I think looks like we will be having a topish of the interest rate, and that's what I'm positioning. Again, I can completely go wrong on that, but the way the stock charts are looking at it, I think it is where it's directing us towards that. So for us, we follow the blending of technicals and fundamentals, and as long as if we are getting to see that strength on the chart, we will continue moving in that direction. Now, in this channel, in your channel, we covered about the sectors. Specifically on this, 2 weeks ago, I talked about the reality sector and pharma sector, and both of them have been like going crazy. Again, I don't want to say that I said it, but at the end of the day, it is all about knowing the right places, understanding it. And you can see CNX Pharma, as I'm recording the video today on 27th of July, it's right now hitting 3% as an index a whole, right? And it's going towards our initial targets. And the way I was playing the themes about going through um, the pharma ETF. Now, reality is another one which we can say outperforming completely, and it has completely given a breakout as well from the top, which is a very good sign, and that's telling me there's something positive happening, and one has to be keeping an eye on this particular sector alone. So coming back to the overall theme which we want to cover is reality sector today, and I did cover two stocks in this 3 months ago, and there was you should go and watch it, because I don't want to repeat it. One was DLF, another small cap, so you go and check that out. It is available on my channel, the video. It is called One Large Cap and One Small Cap Stock Covered, both technical and fundamental in the reality sector. And from last 3 months, I've been discussing that. And DLF, I have already made the video specifically here, so you can go through that. So just after this video, you can go to that videos and watch it, so that you can build the connections around it, because that's where you get a deep insight. So make sure you watch that, and I'll leave the link also in this video, so that you are able to go through that. Now, as you can see, the news everywhere which was coming in was in 2020. The reality sector sinks deeper in crisis. The builders look to 2021 with the hopes of demand. So there was tons of news which was negative, and that is where you should start looking at it, because the cycle, when it turns, that's where they all get benefited. I've been tracking this for some time now, almost 1.5 years, and I was already started building my view and insight on this particular sector and position myself. And now, as the news is coming, positive news are coming through. I think you have to also understand, once the clarity comes in, you have to pay the price for that clarity, right? Sorry, the internet is a bit slow, but so the you have to pay the price for the clarity as well, and that is what I I look at it well in advance to position ourselves. You can see here how major push by Modi government is helping the reality sector to grow in lead India growth with the huge employment opportunity and boost for startups. So there's a lot of new based on the RERA coming in. It's I think there is a whole new revival happening in reality sector, and that's why the the companies which were absolutely not doing ethical business are down and out of the businesses. At least in my circle alone, I know a lot of my friends are stuck in the properties, especially in North India, with those builders. I don't want to specifically name them, but name and shame them. But I think it is very, very important that you understand post RERA, there's a whole transformation happening in this sector. And there'll be only, the way I see it, there'll be only few players left, and there'll be branded play altogether. And likewise, you have a mint article, India reality sector PE investments are coming up of 5.1 billion. So the news is all positive now from the negative news. So what is important here is, apologies, my internet is really, really slow today. So surge in investment, see boost in India reality. So there's a lot of positive news all around. So let's try to understand what are different avenues we have, right? Because this is where we will get a better perspective of the sector as a whole, right? So you have in the investment, you have offices, retail, alternatives, mixed use, industrial logistics. Now, because of the e-commerce, we have the all the and especially when the industrials are firing, so you have logistics and industrials, and for the e-commerce storage all coming up, residential is one of them. So you should look at it holistically, the real estate sector, not just real estate as residential. Yeah, that's the reason I brought this slide specifically for you. Now, moving on, the overall, there is a lot of positive news in terms of the growth opportunity in the real estate sector, and especially when interest rates cycle will go down, you will see. And obviously, from India, there is a whole tailwind in terms of the reality sector, because of the housing is one need which everybody wants it. And you can see the regional analysis, you do market dynamics around it, but there is a huge opportunity. And some of the key players here listed for you is DLF, Brigade, Godrej, JP Lodha. So there are quite a few key players, and I will go through some of the technical charts for the reality sector and see how I'm tracking as well. And if you haven't so far, signed up my channel or subscribe to my channel, do hit the notification bell so that you get notified. Subscribe to the channel as well, because the data shows that a lot of people are enjoying the video, but they're watching it without subscription or signing up to the channel. So I think it doesn't cost you anything. Subscribe the channel, hit the notification bell so that you get notified with the next video as well. And share with your friends as well who can get benefited from this analysis. Now, moving on, what you have to also look at it is the real estate sector is just not alone the real estate of the housing which we covered earlier. It's also about looking at what are the second order derivatives of sectors, subsectors which going to get benefited. As I mentioned to you, you have to start looking at the sectors which are there, like for example, electricals, bricks, tiles, sanitary ware, like Sierra Sanitary Ware as a company, plumbing, and you got cement, steel. So all of the sectors are linked to this particular sector. So you have to keep a watch on it, because everywhere there'll be tailwind. And sectors which are like, especially the paints, sanitary wares, which is you have some kind of consumer B2C sector, you should focus on it. And especially electrical wires, like Polycab has come up with some phenomenal results. And the names are here for just education purposes here. I'm not at all recommending to buy and sell. Please consider this as a learning, or so that you can build that thesis around your own investment style. That's what my objective of this channel is altogether. And do put in a comment box below what you think are different companies in this sector you're tracking, and I would love to hear from that, and personally review them, and reply to you as well. Thank you. So the one thing which is important is to look at the different ancillary industries associated with the real estate, and then you can create a basket approach and do that, and track them. Now let's try and look at a holistic picture of what happened, right, in India in this particular slowdowns and the boom times in the Indian real estate, because that's where you have to look at it. Because real estate, to me, is just a cyclical sector. You have to know when to enter, when to exit, and that is very important. And this is kind of 1993. So I think from almost, if you look at the charts of, and we'll cover that in charts so that you understand, because it's very very important to know the how this whole thing panned out. When the housing crisis happened, prior to that, there was a lot of boom happening in the real estate sector, and after that there's absolutely went into sideways, and stocks like DLF or CNX real estate index itself went did nothing, and those who had the positions, they all were almost at the same price or went down. So almost like 10-20 years, or 10 years at least, there was no movement in the real estate at all. And now the real recovery has started from 2022, and that's where it came on my radar. So you can see there were different crises, where in 1980 there was a boom time, and then there was 95 there was a slowdown, and then 2022 there was again a boom time in the real estate, and then there was a slowdown in the real estate. So you have to play the cycle slightly differently. What I'm trying to tell you is, whenever there's a slowdown, that's where you start get activated. Look at the companies, what they're saying, what is the commentary coming. Because I remember during COVID time, there was so no new launches happened, and the inventories were available at throwaway prices, and the builders were giving a lot of discounts. Moment the COVID lockdown was released, you see there's a mad rush, and everybody started buying at any price. And I did some ground check as well, by talking to some of the real estate agents to understand this, and what is the actual inventory levels and all, whether there is an, because companies were coming up like Ashiana Housing, they're all coming up with good numbers saying that there's an absorption of their inventories. Now, the next cycle, because there's new launches are happening, and because they see there's a lot of demand, they're launching it. So that will come up next couple of years down the line. So that's how you should look at it. Whenever there is an the bad news in the crisis news, that's where you should get activated. Okay, so that's the understanding of your overall sector. Now, let's look at it from the point of view of what is going on in the reality sector. Let me delete these markings because this was there, so that you have clear picture, and also I'll there's no. So let's start with the monthly chart, okay, and understand from the big picture perspective so that you know what I'm talking about. I mentioned to you specifically here, and look at this is a monthly chart of reality index of India market. Now, what do you see here? What do you see here? I want you to write down your comment box below. What do you see? From almost 2000, I told you that 2010, now 9 was a boom time, right? And from there onwards, there has been absolutely nothing in the reality sector. And just imagine if you are taking position in the companies, you will, because the overall index is not doing anything, the stocks will also not do much about it. Barring there has been few run up here which we played, and if you are following my channel, you would know that there has been few these sprungs here, I would say some kind of price actions which were there. But what is important here is now it's kind of giving almost like multi-year breakout, right? And that is where it makes very interesting, because the moment you see something which is multi-year, that means you're talking about some fundamental change happening, and that's where you start building the position early stage. And there has been, if you can clearly see, there are two bottoms happen. It's kind of W pattern, and in technical parlance, but it's all about, if you look at the very simple terms, is the index is making higher highs, right? So this is making higher highs, and now it's moving towards almost the all-time high. That's index alone. So you should track the companies behind it and see what's happening. And if you look at from daily, that's why when I came up with the my video around the sector a couple of 3 months ago, I was preempting there will be a change in trend because I can connect the dots. And I was thinking again, I'm not at all predict the future. I can only see that what I see on the charts, and then I connect the dots based on what's coming on the sectors, what the companies are saying. And once you look at the weekly chart, and I'm doing the multi-time frame analysis of the CNX IT index, and that is 27th of July. So you can see very clearly what's going on here is the stock went in completely, this index itself went in W pattern. So that's the whole analysis of the sector index. Now, let's look at the stock which we were tracking, right? And we should, let's look at the weekly chart. And you can see DLF, and if I go monthly chart, if you look at the, and again, I have a position here, I'm building the position. DLF is leading the chart. And if you do the ratio analysis, and if you know how to do the ratio analysis, is just go into this chart and you say divide by CNX reality. And this ratio analysis tells you, sorry, it didn't happen. It will tell you what's if, and you have to look at the stocks which are breaking out earlier than the Nifty itself as Nifty Reality Index. And that is where you have to look at understanding of it. If I go in here and make a line chart, and this is now ratio chart, DLF versus CNX Reality. So now this is where I kind of first said on the verge of multiple. So I've been tracking this from September 16, as you can see here on TradingView. If you have not followed me, do follow because that's much easier. On September 16, 2022 is where I started tracking. I took the position and been tracking since then this particular company. And this company has been on my radar, which is has given from 390. I think it was around 397, and now it's 497, and it's almost 100 rupees up. But that time I said it's a multi-year trend line which has broken, and we have to look at it. And I've given this analysis, so go and watch that up so that you can build some good analysis around it. Now, DLF is, as per the ratio chart itself, is doing very well. Yeah. So it has went high and now it's going down. So that means it is underperforming CNX reality. That's why it is going down. If it is going up, that means it's performing better, right? So, but you can look at the weekly chart, that was monthly. So it is again slightly underperforming. Okay. And now it started on the daily chart, it started looking up now. So that's how you should look at it to understand which stocks are performing better. And I'm specifically creating a basket approach because reality sector is all about understanding of taking because it's a cyclical nature. You can play a basket theme, and that's how I'm doing it, and trying to see some of the companies which I'm tracking very closely, like Kolte Patel or Purva, and seeing Brigade, DLF. Nesco is its exhibition center in India, so in Mumbai. So that's something which has been long term following this company altogether. So that's how you create a real estate sector. Try to look at what's happening in the reality, and try and look at it overall, what the company is doing against the reality. Okay, so that's about the thing. Now, last thing which I want to tell you as a bonus tip, which is there, is how do you see this trend? Now, one thing which you have to look at it is Hikanashi. And Hikanashi is type of candle charts which tells you whenever there's a long green candle, right? Let me just give you, whenever you see this kind of formation happening, there's no wick down below. That means it is uptrend. And whenever there is a small indecision, that will be like this, yeah, and there'll be indecision candles, right? And whenever there's no wick on the top, when you see there is a long range candles, downtrend has started, and there's no shadow, and there's long lower shadows indicate buying pressure altogether. So there's no buying happening. So this is the simple Hikanashi candle sticks which you understand. Now that's the education piece of it. Now, what you have to do is, all you have to do is go to this sector, and there is a button there, and there you can change the Hikanashi, right? Can you see? Right on the top, you will see Hikanashi. Just click on the Hikanashi type of candle, so you can select the Hikanashi here, and now you'll be able to track what's going on. Just by looking at it, you will be easily able to understand the sector trend. Now, I would recommend do to at least monthly or weekly, because that's where you get a better trend rather than just daily, because you will see a lot of whipshaws. Now, can you see it here very clearly? What did I tell you? I told you about whenever you see there's no wick at the at the bottom, that means it's a strong trend. And when there is a kind of wick on both the sides, then you say indecision candles. And when there's no wick on the top, then you are looking at there is a buying pressure. So that's how you have to look at it. And if you go back to the chart, there was a if I go on monthly chart, what has happened? Again, because it's just an indicator, so you should not do any buying and selling decisions. So there was a nice buying happen after this, right? And I'm looking at monthly chart, then it went on sideways, and now it's building up. So it tells me there's a because there's a lower low formation happening, and that is a higher low now. So that means there is a good strength. And now when I go back to my regular chart, I know there's a breakout happening. So this is how you should look at the trends. If you go into charts, you can see very clearly this is happening. Let's go to another one, Oberoi Reality, and let's go back. So when you look at this Oberoi Reality, if you go on the weekly chart, you will see it more beautifully. Look at this. The stock went up when a trend changed. It went all the way here, 234%. And you can see there was a very strong momentum. Then there was a base formation. It didn't break. Again, the holistically you can look at it, but I'm trying to show you a trend. When it start moving, it can move and give it tell you that there's a strong momentum, buying momentum, and then selling. And now again, there's a buying momentum happening. So Hikanashi can be very, very useful. Do study on that. So I think this tip will help you understand the trends very quickly. So you can simply go into the sectors and just start looking at when there's a trend is changing. Like for example, whenever you start seeing the week like this on a weekly or monthly, that means you should see there's a change in trend. Is there anything happening around it? You see, in this case, there was a downtrend, right? And then there was a downtrend, and then after that there was an indecision candle, and then there is a trend. Now you have to look at on left hand side and see what's the holistic picture to get the better insights and connect the dots. I hope this tip was useful for you. If you found the video valuable and you're watching till the end, pat yourself to the back because you learned something new. And I hope you can get some value out of this of your time. And that's what we make every attempt I do here to make your investing journey peaceful. So my name is Shivendra Bhatia. I'm signing up for now. Have a peaceful weekend investing, and I'm looking forward for your comments. Do subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, share with your friends. Let's learn together, grow together, and create wealth together. Till the next video, bye bye.